Hello, Amanda. Can you hear me? Ali, Amanda, Ali. I'm supposed to be speaking with Amanda Ali this morning. Just trying to raise her here. Hopefully she can. Okay, looks like she is getting online with her audio here. We should have her shortly. She's down under. So we are 16 hours
I
apart. Hello?
did.
Hello?
Yes, I did it.
Hi, Amanda.
Okay. Hi, how are you, John?
Good. How are you?
Good. I can't see you. I mean, I can
No?
see you, but I can't. Am I on video? I'm not on video.
Your video is not on. No.
No. Okay. Should I? How do I do that? Okay. Share video. Now I can see. How's
Hello.
that?
Hello. How
Hello.
are you?
Okay. I don't know whether to put this camera just stationary or. Oh, I can't see you. Hang on. I'll just okay.
How are
Technology.
you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. You've got the kids to bed?
No, they're still wandering around.
Yeah, the kids are up later now with everything.
Yeah, it's chaotic, right? It's just, well, we're trying to keep our peace. Like, I mean, we've been sort of just trying to live normally, and just go out anyway. But all everything's shut. So
Hmm.
restrictions now and voices on the shopping centre that tell you to keep away from people and use language like social distancing and it's
It's
funny.
it,
It's
it,
programming.
we're being told to use these words.
Oh no, they play it when you go to the supermarket. So it's like programming, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, even in the supermarket, we're hearing those those posts that are coming over the speakers.
You talk too sick.
No, I said that
It's
not.
very quick. Can we invite Mama in our house?
Not at the moment, sweetie. Go with your sister now. Go on.
So what?
She's curious because I told her I was doing a call, and so she had to come and check it out. They're so curious of everything. They just want to know what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. No trouble at all if the kids are, coming around asking questions and trying to find out what's going on. That's all.
Yeah, they just want to know.
Part of life, part of our lives. This is our lives, right? And it's
That's
just a piece of our lives, and we're just sharing what what we know, and who knows, does anybody know what's actually going on?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I can't say I know what's going on.
No.
I'm just, doing my thing and, just trying to keep healthy and stay on top of, our health while we're in these positions where they're sort of restricting whether we can come out of our homes. I'm hearing now. So I'm just moving around normally. So I haven't had anyone try to police me. So hopefully that won't happen. We'll just keep living normally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Up to this point, we're not being directly policed, personally policed.
No, no. Well,
Not as of yet.
I don't,
No.
I've done my research and I don't believe that we can catch viruses via contact. I believe that, um,
I like this. First of all, we're both admitting that we don't know what's going on,
no,
but we're having a conversation about what we do know. This is
yeah,
We have to have a conversation. We can only talk about what we do know. And
exactly.
from the research that I'm seeing and finding, that people are sending to me. What are you seeing?
Oh, well, I'm seeing sort of mainstream, like, because I don't follow the news. I haven't plugged my TV in for like 24 years. So, if we watch stuff, it's DVDs or, things like that. So, I used to watch Netflix, but I don't even have that at the moment. So, but anyway, um, so I don't keep up to date with the mainstream news, but then, you hear people say stuff, from outside, and they say, oh, there's this, or you see stuff floating around on Facebook or social
Or you
media.
hear it when you're at the
And
supermarket.
yeah, or you hear it when you're at the supermarket and you see newspapers in the newspaper stand saying people are slow to follow the new rules. And I'm thinking, new rules? Like, no one's ruling me. I'm sovereign, you know? And so, I don't know. I feel like it's the energy to me when I go out there now is a feeling of um, fear. Like there's an energetic field that everyone's carrying around that that we have with us that can be. And I feel like the world's triggered at the moment. Like it's like that animal instinct of survival mechanisms being triggered amongst a lot of people, and so you can feel it out there. So when you go out there, it's sort of like people are on edge, and so I try to sort of stay away from it and not want to be around it. I just want to be in nature and be with my family, you know,
Yes,
just
it's a good time to be coming back to nature and coming back to family. It's a great time for that. It's a
yeah,
gift for that, isn't it?
that's what I feel. Like
We
I
have
was
to find
saying
the
to
gift
people,
in that, right?
we've only got now, like we're born, and so everyone that's born is sure to die, in these bodies. But being, I feel that I'm spirit in essence, so I'm eternal, and so even if this body dies, I'm going to continue on. But we only have this moment that we have right now. And so that moment that you have with your children, that you have with your kids, that you have with your loved ones, I'm saying to people, hug them more, because when it's times of stress, they need that more. They need to be reassured, especially children, because if we're stressed, they feel it and they will reflect that back to us. So as parents, that's the best thing we can do, for them, and try to keep them healthy by giving them fresh fruits and vegetables. Don't give them junk food just because they're asking for it. Just keep in your cupboards healthy foods, so that's all they have, because um, we want to stimulate the body. We don't want to suppress it, because that's when these viruses can come in and start causing our body to have a detox effect from the junk food, and then the body's like detoxing that out, and then these viruses come in and eat that junk, that toxin that's in the body. So that's how it enters. That's how, and so if we're not self-loving, and as families we're feeding our kids junk food, we're teaching them not to love the body. We're teaching them to suppress the immune system. And then that's when these viral things can come in. That's when colds can come in, and the body's natural detoxification system's doing its job perfectly. You get a fever and the body heats up, it's because it's burning off stuff. It's like that's what it's meant to do. We're not meant to suppress that. And a lot of people do, they give their kids Panadol or whatever.
They give the kids what?
Panadol, like paracetamol, which is, to lower the fever and take the fever away. But we need that fever. People are afraid of being sick. They're afraid of dying, really. That's what it is. But it's like guaranteed, and I'm not saying it's a good thing to die or want to die, but the thing is once you accept it as a reality, then you don't really fear it, do you?
You have to
Because
look at death, don't we? We have to face
mm,
death and what do we live for? What do we die for? What does it mean to be alive even? I mean, these are
yes,
deep questions that we have to ask ourselves.
right, because you could be living every day just fearing death, but not really living, you know. So if you're in that position where you're not really living, then you're going to be not really. That's death to me. That's, you know.
So I mean, fear of death, that's a big one. I do want to come back to that, but before we go there, I want to start up, where you kind of started this. You started to talk
Sorry,
about
I go off tangent. I took.
no trouble at all. This is a free conversation. We're just sharing. Nobody knows what's going on. We're just sharing. But
Yes.
you started off with your research, what you
Mm,
found, and I really want to talk about what we know. That's really
mm.
important. We have to talk about what we've found with certainty. And what have you found about viruses that you wanted to share?
Well, John, 7 years ago, I had cancer. So, on a
Mm.
moral thing, that cancer comes sort of under that category. When you think of the body and, immune function, it's the same thing.
How
And the
old are you,
thing,
Amanda?
44.
44, and 7 years ago you got cancer.
Yes, yeah, when I was pregnant with my fourth child. So,
Wow.
yeah,
You have four children.
yes. Yeah,
and,
four
and
girls.
wow. And while you were pregnant with your fourth girl, you got cancer.
Yeah, I got Burkitt's lymphoma. I was teaching yoga still, and I was doing all kinds of yoga at the time, but then I still kept going throughout the pregnancy. And I had this lymph node in my neck just flare up and it wouldn't go down. And that was the tumor starting out. So my immune system, I was overworked. I was homeschooling my kids. I was teaching 7 classes a week. I was a workaholic, and I was in a very toxic relationship. So it didn't, that stress, just being in that environment of stress, made it so that basically there was a lot of trauma in that situation, and I wasn't dealing with it very well, and then the cancer it came out. So and you're trying to cope with it all, but you just realize, oh well, you've got to go back to basics. And I previously studied with a naturopath, Dean, not Dean Armitage, is it? Yeah, Dean Armitage in Boonah in Queensland. He did an oncology course and microscopy course, and he did diagnosis, and so he taught us all about alkalining the body and what cancer is, and how basically go back to eating, just um, living foods, basically. Living foods, no processed, hardly any processed foods, and I don't know how to turn that off. So, and, real foods. So, like raw salads, fruits and vegetables, that sort of stuff. So, I went straight onto that diet, and just started juicing and doing, foods that were living foods, alkaline foods. But still, that wasn't enough because I was still in this toxic relationship. So, fast forward, I ended up doing chemo because I ended up with this giant tumor on my neck, still trying to cope with the stress, but as well, still feeding this cancer somehow. So, um, I survived the cancer and I survived the poison of chemo, and I've been rebuilding ever since then. So it's been 5 years since I've been in remission, and wow, what a journey, because I've learned so much. And so I'm so grateful for what I've been through, because when I look back at the time, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, you know, because it's just such a nasty, nasty disease, cancer.
My mother
Like it
died of
literally,
cancer. My mother died of cancer
yeah,
at 42.
I'm sorry to hear
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it was 30 years ago now, 31 years ago, 20 something like this.
Everyone knows someone that has died of cancer or has had cancer. And like, you know, we talk about this virus, but like 1 in 2 people are getting cancer now. Where's the panic and the outrage over that? Or the obesity issues or the heart problems that people have, because we're not addressing the root cause of these things. And so,
And
you know,
so then are you saying that, the root cause of all of these things is the same?
yeah, basically it's a lack of self-love to begin with, and like we can, and self-responsibility really, it's about, I mean, look, we can look, I've been through so much trauma in my life, and we can look at that and say, hey, you know, I've been through this, you don't know what it's like. Yes, I don't know, I've never walked in your shoes. However, from my experience, I do know that trauma is there to teach us about ourselves and to be self-responsible.
And we all
And
have our own story, our own trauma.
that's right. And while we blame other things outside of ourselves, we give our power away to it. You know, we're basically
Collecting back
saying
our power,
that
collecting back
has
our
power over me,
power.
that can control me. And so that has been my journey, you know, of learning this really, is bringing back that self-empowerment, that, you know, ownership of who I am and what I'm responsible for, you know.
So
So
valuable, so important. And that's what healing is about. That's how
that's
we
right.
change our
That's
life.
right.
That's how we heal our life. Finding
That's
out,
right.
identifying ourselves,
Yes, yes,
truly identifying
yes,
ourselves, and giving that being love.
yes, that's right. And if we don't do that, then we suffer, right? So we suffer, and do we want to keep suffering? You know, it is a choice. Do we want to keep suffering? You know, and we make that choice by the choices we make. And if we don't follow the knowledge and wisdom that's out there and do the work, then we miss out, don't we? So,
Knowledge and
mm,
wisdom that's out there. Now,
mm.
there is some knowledge and wisdom out there right now that there's a killer virus around.
Now,
That's
whenever I
knowledge
talk
and
about
wisdom that's
that,
out there.
that is knowledge and wisdom. So, what you need to do is go deep within and ask yourself, is this true for me? You know, has this been true? Do I
And
trust
you
me?
can choose
You know, is
either
this
one. And you can choose either one. If you want to choose
yeah,
that reality, that's your right.
that is your right. And if you want to get vaccinated and you're fearful of the disease or whatever, and you'll go as far as doing all the things that you're told to do, then you will do that. But the thing is, I trust the efficiency of my immune system. You know, it's my body has come back from cancer, from chemo. I mean, do you think I'm afraid of a silly flu? Like that,
Excellent point.
you know, like, I mean,
This is
it's
the
just
truth.
madness to me,
This is the truth. But
you
we've been
know?
shut down all over the world. So it makes it seem like it's something that has more value than, it makes it seem like it's more dangerous than it is because of what's all around us.
Yes, that's what I was saying about earlier about the energy that I feel, because I'm a sensitive person, and I feel most people are sensitive people, but they numb themselves to that feeling, you know. And so when I go there, I feel this energy and I think, oh, this isn't me, you know. I don't want to feel that fear, you know. I don't want my children to feel that fear.
You don't want to
And so
focus on that feeling. You don't want to focus on that fear. It's not that it's not around, but you can choose to focus on what's around, or you can choose to focus on what's inside.
inside, and that's right. And you know, for me, John, it was what I noticed that come up for me, because I don't know about you, but for myself, you know, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Like, I can't say that I've learned everything that I need to learn, you know. So I'm really in a position when this thing came up, when everyone's kind of panicking and that energy's around, I was like, wow, you know, like this is really bringing up stuff for me. And it brought back memories of my childhood, how my mother used to talk about, you know, the German war and what the Nazis did, because, you know, that's our heritage, German. And so she would tell us these ghastly stories as children. And it brought up all that feeling of, I've got a real distaste for authority, you know, real loathing for, you know, so I'm kind of got that rebelness where I'm just like, you know, you know, if you don't tell me what to do sort of
Mhm.
thing, you know.
I have that in me
And
as
so
well too.
and so, you know, but I realized that that's what this was for me anyway, was a chance to actually, you know, heal that stuff that had been sort of programmed into me as a child, which was a fear, sort of like a fear program of, oh, be afraid of, you know, martial law and all of that sort of energy that could be
That's
around in
inside of
you.
me. That's inside of me. I've embraced that as well. Those fears have been instilled in me. I don't know how or where or when, but along the way through the life, these fears have been put inside of us, whether they've been put on, you know, through television, through YouTube, through Facebook, through images, through videos, through
Everything, horror movies, I mean, what we absorb into ourself, in our being, what we allow in our direct energy field, that's saying to ourselves, I'm going to suppress you, body, or I'm going to stimulate you. Or, you know, because the body can be stimulated just by what we eat, by what we do with it. It's, you know, if you exercise, you know, as you know, if you exercise, we get endorphins. We can change the chemical structures in the body through the foods we eat. All of those things stimulate
from the
all
thoughts we
these
think,
things.
from the words that we say. These
That's
things all
powerful.
affect us emotionally and energetically.
That's right. The music that we listen to, the words we hear people. I mean, you look at we know Dr. Emoto's work with the water and the structuring of water, and you look at the body, it's like, what, 83% water? And so what, you don't think you can't structure the water in the body as well, that the cells aren't listening?
To the
You know,
things that you think and say, every single cell in the body is connected neurologically inside of your brain. Every thought that you think is being expressed inside of your body, and there from your body, it's now manifesting in your entire life.
that's right. And so, you know, everything is you know, going to affect that. And so whilst this is why I sort of thought, right, this is a perfect time for me to start doing online yoga with people, or some breathing, or, you know, it's just something to help people calm down and relax, because everyone's triggered right now. It feels like, you know, their amygdala's being triggered, and whatever, you know, we're okay. We're actually okay, you know, right now. So, you know, that's what I want to give to people somehow, just give back to the community of people that know me, and, you know, just give them a little bit of something to look forward to as well if they enjoy it. And
And online, it needs to, we need to be trending towards online. Isn't this the
well, yeah, but I mean, you know, they can't catch the virus when you're doing it online, can they? So, you know, and, you know, I think it's important that people just take time and breathe, and recenter and ground themselves through these times, and, you know, drink plenty of water. And I was listening to your wonderful talk the other day, forget the lady's name, but you were talking about saunas, you know, and I've got a far infrared sauna, and I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to start using it, because, you know, we've got winter coming here, and now with the restrictions as well, they're saying we can't go down the beach. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be jumping in my sauna.
Mhm.
I'm just going to be in my sauna all through winter. And, you know, I got heaps of vitamin D because I was outside every day, 20 minutes at least getting sun, you know, before this happened. So hopefully I'll be able to hold out through our winter. It's usually about 6 months a year.
We're just coming out of it now. We're just coming out of our winter here. So we're
So
just
where are
starting to
you
get more
from?
light now.
In Canada? Yeah,
Yeah, Canada.
yeah.
So, you know, we're completely opposite to you.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys get snow. See, we get
Oh,
cold, but
yeah.
not that cold.
Yeah.
So we just get overcast skies. It's pretty much like a cold England, I guess. It's prettier. We have more flowers.
Oh, it gets cold here for sure. So I want to circle back to some of the stuff that you talked about. Very interesting story that you have, Amanda. I love it, and thank you for sharing it with me this morning. You got lymphoma, you got a cancer, and
Mm.
you talked to someone that was directing you to start alkalizing your body.
Yeah, well, I'd previously studied, because I've always been interested in health since I was a child. And so I'd done some courses with Dean Armitage in Boona, Queensland, and he was holding weekend workshops, doing microscopy, live blood diagnosis, dried blood diagnosis, iridology, and other diagnostic methods to be able to, you know, is look at how is the person actually doing on the inside from looking at the cell, you know. And if you look at a cell under a microscope, a really healthy cell is free flowing, it's perfectly formed circle, and it's glowing. And if you look at, I don't know if you've seen that photography where they show the light of the fruit. I think it's Killian photography,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it shows the fruit is a living thing. You know, they show the apple and all the light. Well, it's the same as that cell. If you look at the living cell, our blood cells under the microscope, it's the same thing. It has that glow about it. And so my cells weren't healthy when I got cancer. They were all stuck together and, you know, funny shapes, and you could literally see the viruses floating around in the body. Now, there's trillions of bacteria and viruses all around us already. And what happens is when the immune system gets to a certain level, that's when the viruses, you know, start doing cleanup, because the body can only handle so much toxins before it gets overloaded. So that's what I understand this virus, this C virus thing is that basically the toxins become the organs become overloaded, and they break down and they can't deal with it. So people who are eating really, who have got overloaded systems and immune compromise, they're the ones that are going to be having this toxic overload, because they're not dealing with the toxins that they're getting daily anyway. So, you know,
From eating poor foods, from eating low energy foods, from
that's right. And then you have this fear virus come in, and what's that do? Set the cortisol off in your body, and then that poisons you, and then your body's got to deal with the cortisol. And so, and then people wondering why they're getting sick. They're stuck indoors because they're told they can't go out, they can't get vitamin D, they can't go get fresh air or negative ions by the beach or the forest. It's ridiculous. It's like, what are we? Is the world gone mad? You know, I mean, my daughter's is 7 years old, and she knows that you need to get vitamin D from the sun. You know, she knows that, you know, we don't need to wear sunscreen. As long as you wear a hat and you're covered in the middle of the day. I mean, we get harsh sun here. So you just be smart. You don't go in the middle of the day and sunbake. You know, you go when it's in the morning, when the sun's getting up, and you do some sun gazing and you get some energy. Or you go when the sun's setting and you get some energy.
Mhm. So let's talk a little bit about that further. You said you know you learned that fruits have an energetic footprint if you look at them under the microscope, and that energetic footprint is very similar to the energetic footprint of every single cell inside of our body. So there is life and energy inside of the fruits, and there's life and energy inside of our cells, and it's the same life. It's that life force energy that unites everything here on the planet that is alive.
That's right. That's the living things, the living beings, and that's we know what a living thing is because it has that life force in it, and you can see it. You can see it under those special,
So it's
and it's
physical, but it
yeah,
also has an aspect to it that's metaphysical, that's beyond
mhm,
physical. We
mm,
have our bodies, we
yes.
have our minds, we have our thoughts, but there's also another part that is not body and that is not mind, and that part is, what do you want to call it?
Well, the Chinese and the Eastern, like in yoga system, they call it prana, or the soul is atma, it's the permeating force
Atma,
behind
the
it.
soul, the
Yes, yes,
spirit.
the spirit, yes. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. Not matter. This body, this body is not me, the mind is not me. Although the mind can direct us, or it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So it depends on what you allow it to be.
So that mind needs to be trained, because the
Yes.
mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Your mind can now focus on the fear, or the mind
Hmm.
can focus on the joy and love that's actually within you, because there's a bit of you that is always connected to the infinite. There's a part of you that's always in contact with the whole. That life force bit is within us as long as we are alive.
That's right. And while we have consciousness, we are aware of it. And so and the thing is we should know that we can tap in anytime. Anytime, just take a breath and have that present moment.
It's
And
the breath. It's linked to the breath.
yes, yes.
Breath is
Yes, definitely.
foundational. Breath is foundational, just as foundational as is alkaline foods.
Yes, it's mind, body, spirit, like it really is. It's all those things because, and you can't just fix it with one. Like some people just try to do the spiritual side and go love and light or whatever, but it's mind as well. You got to go in to do the work, the psychological work,
Affirmations,
and
positive
and
thoughts,
change the
goals,
core beliefs that we have because in the first
challenging core
7 years.
beliefs,
Yes, and have an open mind, not just keep this cognitive dissonance around things.
overcoming trauma.
Hmm. That's right. And physically working the body so it can release the trauma from the limbic system because that's where it's stored, you
Movement,
know. So,
conscious movement, yoga, or some sort of like light
literally.
exercise, not a heavy exercise that puts additional stress on your body. You talked
No,
about
that's right.
getting cancer when you were
Mm,
in an overworked situation.
that's
Uh,
right. And I was a yoga teacher.
so you were under some physical stress from work. You were under physical stress from 3 children. You were under physical stress from a relationship that wasn't really most appropriate for you.
No, that's right.
There was a
And
lot
and
of
that's the thing,
stresses
it
in
was
your life.
go play, sweetie. That's right. And the thing is that when stress is the biggest killer, like people don't talk about it enough, I don't feel like how much stress affects us and environmental factors of stress. Like, I mean, you think about things like those kids that are now stuck at home and they can't go to their school because that was their safe space, you know, because they're at home in an environment where they're being abused or whatever, you know. So there's things like that that affect us, you know. And so this is stress, you know, and that kind of stress impacts the
Psychological
person.
stress, which leads to emotional stress, which
It
creates
causes
physical
these what
stress
I call
hormonally inside of the
like
body.
a trauma loop where people end up just, you know, later on in life, they end up just stuck in these like trauma loops because they haven't dealt with what they ended up with as a child or whatever. And so these situations where we've got the world going a bit crazy, then you're going to see people go crazy because of it, because they're being triggered right now. So that's why you're seeing people, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes you see it, you know, people are getting arrested because of things, or, you know, they're getting upset because of, you know, they can't get their toilet rolls or whatever, you know, and so they're triggered because they haven't dealt with the stuff that traumatized them when they were a child. So that's come in when they're a child or when they're growing up or sometime in their life, maybe even. It doesn't have to be as a child. It could have been some kind of shock. And if you look at Dr. Hammer's work from Germany, like he talks about cancer being a shock to the body, you know. And so when I found that out, I realized how important it is to deal with the emotional and the psychological, deal with the mind, you know, deal with, and it's how powerful it can be if you do your affirmations, you do the work, you deal with the stuff
A
that's
daily
happened to
practice. You
you.
have to have a daily ritual. You have to have something that you're doing each day so you can then evaluate it and see how you can make it better and see how it affected you. You have to practice it though daily. It has to be something that's happening all of the time in order for you to evaluate and tweak it and change it and adjust it.
That's right. And I mean, everyone's got a ritual actually. We're all doing meditation, we're all doing rituals daily, but it's what kind of ritual you're doing,
Whether
what
we're doing
kind
it
of
consciously
meditation.
or unconsciously. Are you consciously doing it, or are you just waking up with the alarm and making a pot of coffee and making some eggs and making some toast and slapping some butter on it and throwing some bacon in the pot? Like
That's
this is
it.
a ritual. This is a
Exactly.
ritual.
I mean,
So
there's,
you can choose that ritual if you like, and you can get
yes.
your energy from that ritual if you choose. Or you
Hmm.
can begin to choose a different ritual, a ritual that's going to be now taking the time that I was making my sausage and taking that time to now sit quietly in stillness or go for a walk or put my feet on the ground or look at the sun or listen to something or think about something. Sometimes the thought work is uncomfortable, and so
Hmm.
people don't want to do it. They don't want to think about what happened when they were 14, what happened
Hmm.
when they were 19, what happened when they were 7. They don't want to feel that trapped emotional energy and allow it to come out and come up. So it stays trapped because we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to do the mental work that's associated with it. We have to, if we
Well,
want to heal and
it's
change our
allowing
lives
ourselves
for
to
real.
feel it. Really, it's a disconnect from the mind and the heart. So it's like they don't want to feel it, so then they stuff it back inside of
It's
themselves.
suppressed. It's shadow energy that gets trapped inside of the body now because you've suppressed it. You don't want to
Yeah,
deal with it. You don't want to look at it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to confront it. You don't want to engage with it. And so it stays there. And so now you've got this spot inside of you that's always keeping your frequency low, keeping your vibration
yes,
low. And it's
yes,
always there until you go into it, invite
yes,
it
and
up,
actually face
taste
it.
it,
Yes,
feel it,
feel
release
it,
it,
release it, let
embrace
it
it.
go.
It's
Yes,
okay to have it, love
yes,
it, nurture it,
yes,
allow it to be free. You've got to step
mm,
into it.
yes. That's right. And
That's
then
how we heal.
that's the self ownership of it. That's where we take ownership and the responsibility for ourselves,
Right? This
because
may have happened to me. However,
but
it's me that's going to sit and hold it inside of my body and not forgive
mm,
it, not forgive
mm,
me, and
mm,
not forgive those that are around me that may
mm,
have done that to me. but no one actually did it to me. It was just
No.
my perception of it. It
Yes.
happened.
It
Nobody
happened.
did it to me. It just
Yes.
happened. This has
Yes.
just happened to the planet now. Who
Yes.
knows why? I don't know why.
But
I'm not sure why, but I can focus on it or I can focus within. And I can take
yes.
this time now to heal me or I can allow this to scatter me. That's a
Yeah.
choice.
Yes,
That's
and
a
that's and you know it came up for me, and then that's what I've been addressing. I've been seeing how because one day I sort of felt really sort of triggered by it, and I went, okay,
I've
what's
been
the
triggered by it as
Mhm.
well. Fear, of course, it's all around us. How could we not be?
Exactly, and if you don't face it, it's just going to just keep coming up and coming up and
You
coming
gotta
up until
speak
you
it
do it.
out. Think
That's
it,
right. Yeah.
speak it, say it. It's okay. You gotta put it out in order for it to be released, in order for you to face it. You've got to allow it to come up. You've got to be able to make yourself a little vulnerable. You've got to
Yes,
feel
and
that
that's what people
uncomfortable
get attached
feeling.
to.
You got to be able to say, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable or scared about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable or scared, and any of those feelings that you're feeling, it's okay to feel angry, because you know, um, if you're violated or whatever, then you're going to feel angry about anything that's feeling like it's going to be forced upon you, right? So that feeling is going to come up, and so if you realize, hey, actually, you know what? That's not actually what's happening now, and I'm creating my world right now in this moment. And if I'm bringing that right into my world right now, then I've got to address it. Why am I bringing it in? What is it? Face it. Okay, let it go. And that's what I did. And I've been able to see, okay, I can let that go because it's not what's actually happening now. It's not. My world's fine. I'm in a safe place. I'm happy. I'm with my loved ones, and no one's forcing me to do anything.
This
And
is
and
it.
that's
This
what.
is where we have to come to. We have to kind of self-talk ourselves down from what we're seeing around us, from what's going on around us. We have to do just what you just did right there is, no, that's not what's going on. What's going on is I am, 10 trillion cells that's collected here inside of this body. I'm an organism that's breathing. I'm an
Yeah.
organism that needs oxygen and
Hmm.
is putting out carbon dioxide, and that's how the body releases toxins, is through breath. so
Yes,
so
through
that's
breath.
what's actually going on. I need to come
Yeah.
back to the foundation of what's
Mm.
truly going on and not be taken by what I've been led to believe is going on, that I'm in fear for my life.
I mean, because there's so many stories out there, and so many things that you can sort of hook into. And like, I know because I've been in the past guilty of, hooking into stories. But the thing is, we've got to remember as eternal, indestructible, we are indestructible beings, And when we remember that and the true sense of that, like these bodies are going to die and we need to face that one day.
Fear
So
of death,
while,
big one,
yeah, it's
big
it's
one.
just the fear of death. So we have to always just come back to that knowing of, hey, we aren't indestructible. And so no, what the worst things that's going to happen is you will die. But you're already, worrying about it. You're not living. You're not actually living in the moment while you're in that worry. So then it defeats the purpose of living. So just live, please.
We have to do that work, that actually of facing death a little bit, and that's an uncomfortable thing to think about. Like, okay, so what really if I die? Hmm.
It's a hard subject to talk about, but I like to
Yes.
talk about it with people because, the thing is, I mean, we all have to, realize that this is part of our course and our journey of life. So it's just like birth. Birth is and death are like
It's
portals
a
to this world.
change. It's just a
It's a change.
change. Don't be
It's
so
like
afraid of
taking
it.
off.
When you were in the mummy's tummy, you were afraid to come out.
That's right, right? So it's like another change. And that's what this world is. The only constant thing is you and me and change. And so to really understand that, to really and know that we're indestructible and hold on to that and have faith that you're okay. You know, it's the stories that we tell ourselves that make it so that we become filled with fear, which then lowers our immune system, or the stories that you might tell yourself your perception is this, this, and this, when it's not really that. And so you can change your mind. You can change what you're thinking about, and you can put, like, we know what we don't want, right? So let's focus on what we do want, right? So we want a happy world. We want a happy family. So focus on that. You know, we want happy, healthy bodies, so focus on that.
We want
You
to
know,
tone up. We want to get stronger. We want to lose weight. We want to get fit. We want to be healthy. We want to be wealthy. We want to fix our relationships. We want to change our relationships. It all starts with a relationship with myself.
that's right.
That means I need to find that love within me, love for me, and sit with that love in me daily.
That's right. And if we don't do that, then we end up just chewing the tube, just doing the same old program over and over again. That's not really living, is it? So it's up to us if we want to
Certainly isn't
change
changing
something.
anything. If you want things to stay the same, or if you want things to get worse, keep following the path that you're on. If you want
That's
things to
right.
be different, you're going to have to change thought, word,
Yes.
and action. This is how the life is created, through thought, word, and action. This is how the life is changed, through thought, word, and action. We need different actions. But we did
And
nutritional
that's right.
actions, exercise actions, thought and word actions.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that brings us to the accountability of it, you know. We've got to be accountable for it. So we're, you know, while we're sitting there going, oh, I've got heart disease or I've got this or that, but then you're
Poor
not
me,
helping
I'm a
yourself.
victim. My husband did this,
Yeah.
my kids did this, the government did this, my boss
Yes.
did this, my parents.
It's so easy. It's so easy to do that.
Blaming somebody else. It's not
That's
taking
it.
responsibility is what that is, you know,
That's
I'm
right.
in the circumstance and situation that I'm in because of my genetics, because of my
Oh my
parents.
gosh, and so many people have tell me that, and I say, you know, it's not, it's learned behavior. It all comes back down to what our behaviors are, and what are we doing in our daily lives, you know, to make that change. And you
Genes
know,
are
and
expressed by the environment that they are in. I mean, this is very recent work. Like, the DNA is turned off and on by the environment that you're in. So if you're in an environment of fear, then you're shutting down your cellular immune system. You're changing your immune system within your cell. At the cellular level, at the DNA level, you're turning on gene expression
yes,
related to fear. And Einstein spoke about this. He said the most important thing is, do you live in a friendly environment or do you live in a hostile environment? Because if that's the perception in your mind, then the cell will turn on the codes, the genetic data to express that in your life. The cell will shrink. The cell will
yes,
go into a fear
um,
circumstance. And this is where
mhm,
disease builds. This is where, if you're in a circumstance where you're in a poor relationship, an unloving relationship, what starts with an unloving relationship of self, and if you're in a job where you're overworking yourself, too many hours, not enough sleep, and all you're thinking about is production, and if you're trying to nurture children on top of it, and there's no time spent on the self, then of course the cells are in a circumstance, a situation where the gene expression is going to make you susceptible to cancer or other diseases or COVID-19 or whatever
yes,
else is around
yes.
you, the flu or whatever
Because
else
there's
is around
trillions
you.
around
This
you.
is how we get sick, from within the self. And we need to make
Yes,
change within the self. And that happens by
yes,
changing thoughts,
good
words,
choice.
actions, choices, decisions,
Yes,
responsibility.
yes,
Success is a system. Success is a method. We can all plug into it. We can all heal or change ourselves. We can all learn from our trauma, from our cancer, from our COVID-19 crisis, from what's going on
Exactly.
around
There's
us.
so
It's
much in
all
this, like
around us.
it's you know, it's a great thing in one sense because it's really just making people look at their life, you know. I feel in that sense, you
Reevaluation.
know, reevaluate, really appreciate what you have, you know,
Build
and
new
show that
rituals. Start
gratitude, you
again.
know,
Love
gratitude's
yourself.
so important, isn't it?
Begin with the end in mind. What do you really want? What do you really want? You're afraid of death. Well, why? What do you want in your life? What would you live for? What would you die for? These are
That's right.
important things. You have to
Yes,
know they're boundaries. It's not something to be ignored. It's not something
yes,
to be avoided. These are thoughts
yes.
that we have to have. These are discussions that we have to have first with ourselves. And
Yes, and I think there's a great exercise people can do, you know, is like just sit there with it. It's like a shadow work sort of thing, you know, where
first thing in the morning
they're
when you
sitting
wake, first thing in the morning,
and
or
they
just
go,
before bed, laying in bed, or when you wake up in the night.
yes,
Time
you
to
know,
sit with it.
yes. And you know, the thing is that in those times when we're waking and when we're just going to sleep, the brain waves are very low level. So, you
A
know,
slower frequency, a lower vibration,
so, you know, that manifesting time is really important, that
magical time,
what we're thinking about, that we're grateful
transformational
for what
time.
we've got, you know, and going deep into, you know, appreciating these things, you know, and really loving the self in those times too, and making those changes from within, you know, because and deep contemplation of what your life is and life's purpose, you know, because we've only got now, you know, and we're always needing to make the right choices. You know, we're giving the choices. That's where our free will is to get that choice, to have that choice. You know, we can do the same old, you know, Groundhog Day, or we can, and this is what this is to me. It's like a wake up call. It's like, everyone wake up. The earth needs your help. You know, we need to go within, make this time to really work on ourselves and
Get clear.
do,
Get
get
clear about what
clear,
we want.
get clear about what we want, and make the most of that, you know, because like, I mean, you know, I just feel like we don't know when our day's up, so you know, do the best you can every moment, you know, and do it with love, and do it because you know, you love those ones around you, and help yourself, and do it with love. Do it because, you know, I'm eating this apple because, you know, this so good for my body, you know, rather than just eating a packet of chips or whatever, you
Eating
know.
an apple is loving yourself. Eating healthy
That's
food is
it.
loving yourself. That's a part of
And,
loving
and,
yourself.
and allowing, like, do I sit there watching every news story on the news channel, you know, like, and just all day, every day arguing with people on the internet or
About
whatever it is? It's
who's
like,
wrong or what they're doing is wrong or they need to be scolded for this or they need to be reprimanded for this or that or they're not allowed to think or speak like that. Don't do that. That's not allowed. You shouldn't be doing that. That's wrong.
like, let's worry about ourselves and what
Worry
we're
about
feeding our children.
yourselves.
Worry about what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your family's bodies. You know, if you say you care about people, why do you eat Maccas? You know, like, come on. You know, it's like, you know, don't talk to me about caring about people if you're not caring about yourself. You know, that's a fact. Like, if people are telling me, oh, you know, we got to care about people, but they're stuffing their face with all kinds of nonsense, you know, what are they telling me?
That's
I'm
a
saying
hypocrite
worry
then,
about
isn't that hypocrisy right there? If you're not loving yourself, why are you talking about loving another? Because you can't love another until you learn how to love yourself.
and that is real care, you know, real care is loving yourself, not talking about, oh, let's social distance, because we're loving people we
That's
care about
care.
them.
That's what it is. And that's what we're told is care, is practicing social distancing. That's what care is. No,
No,
no, that's
no.
not what care is, because that's not what is healthy. Health
Yes,
is within the being. Health is
yes.
the spirit. It is the vibration. It is the love. It is the highest frequency within you. And we need to sit with it every single day. First thing in the morning, just before bed,
Yes,
in the middle of the night when you wake up, in
yes.
the middle of the day, out in the sun with your feet on the ground, going for a walk, doing something active, doing some yoga, focusing on your breath,
Finding
coming
it.
to the now.
Yes, finding it in every moment you can, because we only have that. And so whilst people get all caught up, what they're doing, they're actually feeding this whole fiasco, if you ask me. So just take the time to see, oh, what am I getting caught up with? I've got another, what am I getting caught up with? What do I allow this to take time away from my self-care? I'm one of the worst people that used to do that. Like, I used to run around helping everyone else but myself,
So
John,
guilty of
and
that. I learned that from my mother. Yes.
that's how I got cancer.
That's how my
And
mother
so,
got cancer.
yeah, and it's natural to love people and want to do that,
And
but
we're told,
do
we're taught to do that. That's what's right to do. That's what the world teaches us to do.
self-sacrifice.
That's what's
Yeah,
loving, is loving your children, or loving your partner, or loving your friend, or loving your family. But no one teaches you how to love yourself.
and they think it's arrogant or somehow stuck up or like
Selfish. It's wrong. It's
narcissistic.
bad. It's naughty. It's
Like, to
rude.
love yourself.
And how
It's
dare
not.
you?
It's like, how dare you care about someone, you know, yourself other than other people.
Right. This is
It's like,
broken. It's a
yeah.
broken paradigm. We're taught the wrong things by
Yes,
our world.
yes. And when we go to school and we're taught to please others and be people
Get the
pleasers
right
and
answers and think
yeah,
this way. We're taught a certain way to think, and if we get it right, then we get an A.
yes, and well, I don't know about you, but when I was at school, they still had corporal punishment. So if you didn't get it right, you got the whip.
So there was a physical aspect to it too, to go the other way, to learn a
Yeah.
certain
Yes,
way.
oh, don't hit me, sort of. It's
We've
crazy.
been taught to be this way.
Mm,
We're all this way. We're not
mm,
excused from it. We're always working against it. We've just recognized
yes,
it, and we're
yes.
working against it and working to work it through ourselves a little bit more.
Yes.
But we're all in it. We're all humans. We've all been
Right.
programmed
And
by
that's why
our
I say, like, these people that are, acting triggered or whatever, have compassion on them, like, this is what I say to people, be kind, because, I'm not into calling people sheep or whatever, but, it can be that sort of herd mentality or hive mind mentality. But, and I'm like, go against the grain kind of like, I don't follow, sort of, I just do what feels right for me. And but it's easy to get sucked into that when there's a lot of people around you that are in that same sort of mindset or energy. So really important that people be kind still and stay in their loving selves. Don't allow yourselves to be lowered down to that energetic level of fear and come back and not be kind or whatever to people just because they're not understanding this all in a way that we understand it or whatever. So and just know that
We have to respect everyone where they are. We have to meet
yeah,
everyone
just
where they are. No judgment. I'm not judging anybody.
judging people.
If I come across as judgmental, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to say
No,
this is the
not
way
at
you
all.
have to think about it. I'm just speaking to those that are open to want to deal with the circumstance differently than we are being told in the mainstream storyline, because there are alternative ideas that can surface now for some, not all. So
exactly. Well, I mean,
confused.
they've talked about vitamin C being, a simple cure for the coronavirus, and they've used it successfully with a lot of patients, and
Fruits,
vitamin D and
oranges, fruit
oranges and
are
just,
filled with
I mean,
vitamins
just
of
get
all
into
kinds.
the
The
fruit.
sun is filled with vitamins of all kinds. Fruits and vegetables.
Just
Now,
use
now,
the channels.
can you something we haven't spoken about? I think we need to talk about it as we're kind of coming towards the end of our talk time. Um, we talked about fruits and vegetables. We talked about high energy foods. We talked about us being energetic beings, spirit energy, frequency, and vibration. But what role does fasting play in this?
Well, personally, I fast quite a lot because, I having cancer. I actually fasted for 10 days one time because I wanted to reset my immune system. The effigy of the body going back into that reset mode and making it so that um, it can just focus on healing the body, and doing the work that it needs to do rather than focus on digestion, because when we're stuffing it full of stuff that either stimulates or suppresses it, it's always got work to do on that level. So if we're giving it a rest from doing that, then it can then focus on repair. And so that's where fasting comes into it. And I feel that if we allow the body that rest, and like I've experimented a lot with different diets, and I was fruitarian for a while, I was vegetarian for 21 years, then I went vegan, and then I went into the fruit, I was doing fruitarian, and then I felt like I was doing really well on that, but then I also had a little bit more grain, and then I felt like I fell back a little bit, and then now I'm trying to refine that balance. And for me, it's always just about refining that balance in the body. Like the body knows what it needs to do, and can do it fine, but if we're suppressing it, then it's going to struggle a lot more. So fasting, giving it a break and the other thing I'd like to add about fasting for me is that it's really important how you break a fast. People talk about fasting, but they don't often talk about how to break a fast, and how important it is to reintroduce foods back after the fast is finished, in a manner that's going to be rebuilding the body rather than again suppressing the body again.
And
So
could you
you
please
would,
touch on how we should be breaking our fasts?
well, I would, depending on the fast, like if you're dry fasting, then you can reintroduce liquids into you would have some water, or some coconut water to get those electrolytes back into the body,
The lightest things. We want to put the lightest, least dense things back into the body first after the fast.
That's right.
We've
That's
been
right.
empty, we've allowed the digestive rest, and we've taken advantage of the healing benefits of that, which I would recommend we try to do for a certain period every single day, and try to
Yeah.
extend, make one sort of commitment to a fasted extended day every week. I would encourage people to do a 24-hour or a 36-hour or a 48-hour or a 72-hour fast, whatever is right for you.
Mhm.
One day of the
That's right.
week, try to stretch it out. But then when you come back to the food, you want to return back to the lightest foods. Now, what's the lightest foods first? The highest frequency foods are the liquids because they don't require digestion, or they
Yes.
require the least digestion. They
That's
add they add the least work to the body. Now, as soon as you put the water in, now the kidneys have to start to work, and these fluids start to go through your body. So, but it's not digesting. We don't have to create hydrochloric
right.
acid. We don't have to create saliva.
Mhm.
We don't have to create bile. We don't have to the kidney does start to work when we put water in. So yes, the dry fast, even the kidney doesn't even have to work. Like if you go into the dry fast, it's the ultimate healing
Yeah.
opportunity.
It is. And like it can really reset the whole endocrine system and everything, you know.
Everything can be reset in the dry
Everything,
fast. So all things can be healed. All things can be changed. If
hormonal
you did get
system,
COVID, you
everything.
wouldn't need to die. You don't need to die of anything. Nobody's going to die of sickness, illness, or disease unless
No.
they follow the mainstream storyline. Only if
Yes,
you
and
follow the mainstream storyline will you be dying of anything, of a sickness, illness, or disease. Now, this is
yeah,
it. Now, you can choose to follow the mainstream storyline, or you can choose to, to now step out of it and see it for what it is, and
yeah,
choose a different storyline. That there's an infinite bit within you, that there's an all powerful, all knowing bit within you, and that you have access to it, and that you can touch it and you can feel it. It's inside of you. You just need to sit with it to find it. And if you practice sitting with it and build up a relationship with it and intensify that relationship with it and come to know it better, that relationship will grow. And as that relationship grows, you will understand that more, and it will teach you more, and it will guide you more, and it will influence you more. You will be
yeah.
able to understand its subtle message more.
Yes, and you hear it more. And that's the thing. Like I feel like it's like the body just when we tune in and we fix that mental aspect, the physical aspect and the spirit, that whole and just tuning
Alignment.
in. It really does. It brings that inner happiness, and that's really the
Joy is
highest state.
there.
Mhm. Yeah, and we
Freedom is
we can
there.
tap in. It's nothing outside of ourselves that's going to equal that. So
Short-term things around
yeah,
us, material things, money,
yeah.
monetary things,
Oh,
sex,
it's
coffee,
temporary.
alcohol, food, all of these things are short-term happiness.
Yeah,
Short-term happiness. Let go of it and find the ultimate joy, happiness, health, wealth, abundance, all of the liberty. It's all within you.
yes.
Peace is inside of you. This is the time to find.
Yeah, it's a perfect time for it. It is really a perfect time for it for everyone. I mean, I'm taking the time to do more of it. Just, tapping in more
Sitting,
meditation. You
sitting,
know,
just
it's
sitting with it.
easy to just it's
Just
just
feeling
easy
with it.
daily life can get you busy, and I know because
Just
I've got
breathing.
4 kids. So you got to make the time. If you don't, then you miss out. And if you just keep, you got to do it. Do the work. That's it. Do
Daily,
the
it's a
work.
practice. It has to become a daily practice. It's an
Yeah,
effort that we do
daily.
every day. Fasting daily,
Daily.
eating the
Yes.
right foods daily, sitting
Mhm.
with our energy daily, exercising daily, getting out into the sunlight as often as we can, getting our feet on the ground as often as we can. The body heals itself naturally. All things can heal, all things can be changed.
Yes. And that's it. And it's true. And I've seen people, and it's a beautiful thing for me. Like, I love hearing people and the journeys that they go on when, this life is a journey and everyone's got their journey. And when they turn their lives around like that, and you can see how they've done that, and you can see the joy in their eyes, and you can see they've done the work. And it's a beautiful thing to me,
Whether
you
it's
know? And,
disease, whether it's overcoming cancer, or it's overcoming bankruptcy, or it's overcoming divorce, or it's overcoming sickness and a parent, or whatever it is, a loss of job, a loss of home, a loss of relationship, a loss of love. It doesn't matter what your trauma is. It doesn't matter what your story is. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. It doesn't
that's it.
matter. Not to
It
belittle it.
doesn't.
Not that I don't have compassion for it. Not that I don't respect it. Not that I don't embrace you because that's happened. I'm not judging whether you're right or wrong. I'm just saying you can choose to wallow in it and be a victim of it.
Yes.
Or you can choose now to
Yes.
make change and step forward
Mm.
in a different direction and start changing it. And it starts with your
Yes.
thoughts. It starts with your words. It's a choice. It's a decision. It's an
It's a
action.
decision.
You can do
Yes.
these things to pick up your frequency. You can heal
Yes.
yourself. You can heal
Yes.
yourself. You can come into your highest frequency. Your highest vibration is something inside of you. You can reach it. You can touch it. You can
Yes,
begin to have a better relationship with it. It's a practice. It's something you
yes,
can
it is.
begin to practice daily.
That's what, like, it's so important to just focus on the breath and have that, time
Focus
spent
on the
just,
breath.
just to reset and, go
Consciousness.
outside and ground your feet
Movement.
and
It's a
do the
practice.
things. And, and it is daily. I have to do it daily, I mean, you have to keep your sanity. It's an
And to
insane world,
connect to that inner energy.
Yes. It is. It does, because it all affects us. All these things affect us, and so it takes work. And I'm teaching my girls. I'm like, it takes work to be in these organic, beautiful machines that we've been given. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, but it's important that we go within. We take the time to experiment with our bodies, and we take the time to find the things that work for us, because what other people do may not be exactly what we need to do.
Not
And so
everything I do may be right for you. Not everything you do may be right for me. While we're on this topic, before we go, we have to touch on the thing that sometimes I do. Actually, I do every day. And I think you may do too.
what's that? Oh, yes.
Do you drink of your waters?
I don't drink every day, but what I do is I do nasal irrigation every day with it, and I was also applying it topically, the
You put
urine,
it on your
and
skin? You put
yes,
it in
and
your
and I
nose. You put it in your nose.
and I do a
Drip it into
fresh,
your brain.
yeah, and then I do neti, which
Neti
clears the
pot with it.
channels. Oh,
Yes.
it's so
Cleans
great.
the mucus
And
out of the body.
oh, it's so good. And you know
Put it in your
what?
ears, put it in your eyes, put it under your tongue, swish it in your mouth, put it on your skin.
They use it in medical applications anyway, like eye drops and ear drops and all kinds of things. So, I thought, well, why not use my own waters? And people were telling me years ago when I had cancer. So I was like, look, I'm going to try this. And it does. It's like I don't have to sit there making up the salt mixture for the neti. I just pee in the pot and straight away use it. The temperature's perfect.
It's right.
I
It's
can do it in
personal
the
body
shower.
temperature. It
You
contains the
know,
bacteria of your body. Don't be afraid of it. It's not
no,
bad. It's
it's
not
for my
dirty. It's
own
not
body. How
naughty.
can I be
And
scared of it?
if it's not right for you, that's okay too. You
It's
don't have to do
nothing.
that. You don't need to do
No.
that. We're not
You know,
trying to sell that. We don't need to sell that. That's not what this is about.
yeah,
This is about
no.
healing the body from a power that's within every single one of us, that's available to every single one of us.
That's the thing is that each of us has the power to become empowered and fully energetic beings, like to our full capacity and potential, and we get into these lazy habits or whatever that defy the potential that we actually have. So if we're sick of that, get into change, do something different, because if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. If you're in the same environment that made you sick, you're going to be sick. So you've got to move. You're not a tree, so move to do something else, and do the research that you need to do. Experiment with your body, and trust that your body knows what to do. I mean, if I can do it, if I can, you know, um, get over cancer, get over chemo, get through all of these things, then I'm sure other people can do it just with diet, or maybe they might need to turn some things around in their life or whatever. But if you heal that stuff, the root cause of it, the reason why why are you stuffing your face? Why are you taking those drugs? Why are
Medications
you
are
doing?
not going to heal this.
Ask yourself,
Foods are not
this
going
is
to
what,
heal this. Alcohol is
ask
not going to
why.
heal this. Coffee
What
is not
else
going to
can I
fix this.
do? And then do the things that actually do help. Oh, look, I had a relationship with coffee as well, and I've given that up.
Me too.
And
Me too.
because it
It's
was
still
hard
there,
because
and I don't tell people that they have to give anything up. I don't think you have to
no,
give anything up. It doesn't have to be that either,
mm,
right? It doesn't have to be about giving up, but you could just reduce it. You could just do it on the weekend, or you could just do it at Christmas, or you could just do
mm.
it on Easter. You can just do it sometimes.
Well, that's the thing, John. I feel like everybody actually really already knows what's right for them and what's not right for them, and that we just actually make excuses for ourselves of
Because we
why
don't want to
it's
face that
okay.
thing. We don't want to let go of that food or that breakfast or
Yeah.
that lunch or
So we
those.
will cherry pick whatever information we can to support it so we can keep doing it, but we don't
Yes.
actually make those changes, and then we keep blaming it
And
from
then
outside.
things start to break down. But then when things break down, we have to. And that's it.
Yes,
When things
yes.
get broken
And
and
you're
we're not
supposed
able to
to.
get what we want in life, it's
Uh-huh.
time to face it.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, and that's what I had to do. Was like,
Make a
uh-oh, look at
change.
this beginning. Like, you're right. Well, maybe this is a big wake-up call for people. Uh-oh, death's
Time
calling.
to make a change.
You better do something about it now. Come on. you know, wake up. Time to change. Yeah.
Amanda, thank you so much for this time. I've loved our talk today. I'm sure that everyone that is a friend of mine will appreciate your comments and information and sharing. I love it. I hope we'll do this again in another 6 months or a year. We'll catch up again and
I'd
share
love
some more
to.
stories. I really would like to call you a friend now.
Thank you, John. I appreciated it. It was
And
great
I'll
talking.
send you a copy of this, and I'll share anything that you might want to share along with this. I don't know if you've got a website. I don't know if you've got anything that you'd like to attach. Please, if you'd like anything associated with this video, please send it to me so that I can attach it
Oh,
with the post. Okay.
thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste. Bye.
Namaste.